Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, verses text 10 and 11. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. So here Krishna further explains how he can be realized in these things on a day-to-day basis. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi pardha. Upardha, please understand vidhi that bijam, sanatana bijam, the original seed of all existences, sarva bhutanam, that I am. Krishna, the other name, the popular name of Krishna is also Narayana. Vishnu, Lord Vishnu is also called Narayana. So Narayana actually means there are two words inside that, Nara and Ayana. So the word Nara refers to the aggregate of all Nara. Nara means the living beings. So Nara refers to the aggregate of all living beings, and Ayana means the refuge or the shelter. So Narayana means the refuge of all the living beings, the shelter of all the living beings, the origin of all the living beings. As Krishna is saying here, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. In several places, this is mentioned. In Bhagavatam, Gajendra, the famous Gajendra Moksha episode, Gajendra offers prayers, and in that prayers, he praises the Supreme Lord like this. Kshetragnaya namastubhyam sarvadhyakshaya sakshine purushayatma mulaya mula prakrutaye namaha. So he is praised as Atma Mulaya, meaning he is the original source of everything. He is the seed of all existences. Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. Bhagavatam describes how Krishna glances over this material energy and she becomes agitated. At that time, the Lord injects the original semen of the living entities. It's quite natural to understand, just like the husband unites the wife, agitates her, and puts the semen into her womb, and thereby injecting the spirit soul for life. So, likewise, the Supreme Personality of Godhead glances over this material energy and then he injects the original semen of the living entities. So, the Lord is the origin of everything. Janmadi yasya yataha. The Vedic aphorism says the Vedanta sutras are like the small sutra. Sutra means it's like a formula from which you can derive so much of information, like E equals to mc square. And you can derive so much of derivatives, scientific, and you can implement so many things in this world. So likewise, this Janmadi Yasya Yataha means the very first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra. Everything or the absolute truth is He from whom everything emanates. Everything, whether it is material energy, spiritual energy, the living entities, the spiritual world, everything has to come from the Supreme Absolute Truth. That is further explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavatam is nothing but the Vedanta Sutras explained. Janmadyasya yatonvayad itarataschaردeshu abhignah swarat. So bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi pardha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi. Of all the intelligent, I am the intelligence. Of those who are intelligent in this world, if you find somebody very intelligent, Krishna is the root of that intelligence. And Prabhupada mentions how intelligence should be used, or those who come to Krishna consciousness are supposed to be the most intelligent. So he ends that purport. Unless a person is intelligent, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Krishna ei bhaje sei bada chatur. Chaitanya Charitamrita author confirms that. One who worships Krishna, he is the most intelligent, bada chatur. He's come to the right knowledge. He's concluded the right thing to surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada, in one conversation, there was one doctor who came to visit Srila Prabhupada, Dr. Hopkins, and he was exchanging with Prabhupada about the most important message that Prabhupada had to convey. And then Prabhupada quoted some Bhagavatam verses. And then Prabhupada said, this is the most important message because you are not this body, material body. And then he gave this wonderful analogy that we miss sometimes, even though it's right in front of us. So we all wear these shirts. Suppose you got this shirt, Prabhupada explained. So if you simply try to maintain this shirt, like you are nicely washing it, or sometimes you don't wash it, you dry clean it. You spend so much money, go and give that to the dry cleaner, or you iron it. Small mark, you become so upset. So basically, you're simply trying to maintain this shirt, and we are shopping for shirts. Most of the time is spent on clothing nowadays. So Prabhupada said, is that a very good intelligence? Without taking care of yourself, your body. So just taking that same analogy, we are actually spirit soul, and body is just like the dress. So this whole material world, everyone is engaged to take care of the body. Nobody knows what is the spirit soul. Is that good intelligence? In another conversation, the devotee and Prabhupada, they were having a conversation. So sometimes Prabhupada asks, what is the argument presented by people against, to oppose Krishna consciousness? So the devotee said, Prabhupada, sometimes when we tell people that life is full of miseries, as we say from Bhagavad Gita, dukkhalayam ashashvatam, they say, oh, what do you mean? Of course, there are high points and low points in life, but basically, I am a happy person. People are generally happy. You're spreading pessimism. These are all part and parcel of life. And so they don't accept that. They think they are happy. And Prabhupada said, that is their foolishness. Because they cannot distinguish misery from happiness. They are being kicked by material nature, the agent of Krishna, because they are desiring in various ways to become controllers or enjoyers. They are being offered various types of bodies and suffering repeated birth and death. But because people have no sense, they think that this material life is pleasurable. So he gave an example. So because this devotee happened to be from Australia, this conversation was in Australia. So he said, now as Australians, you may have so many nice facilities, but you cannot enjoy them perpetually. By the force of nature, you will have to change your position. Today, you may be living in a nice apartment, and tomorrow, you may become a rat in that apartment. How horrible it is. And we are trying to catch and kill the rats and any pests. And the poor pest may be attached to that house because he was occupying that house in the previous life. So it is not in our power to change the strong law of nature, but we must change our position. So an intelligent person asks, why am I being controlled? Why am I being under the grip of the nature? Why am I forced to take birth in this different species? So intelligence means to get out of this material nature. And Krishna explains that, how to do that. Mameva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. As soon as one surrenders to me, he is out of the control of material nature. So Prabhupada concluded, surrendering to Krishna is the real intelligence. So buddhir buddhimatam asmi. And Krishna also says, tejas tejasvinamaham. I am the prowess of the powerful. So there was this villager who was going to the city to sell the things that he makes. And he is a very good seller. And he sees the minute every time he is going towards the city that day. So a lot of people happen to go from the village to the city because of being a festival. And so they were passing by him and they would pay respects to him, and they will fold their hands and pay respects to him, and then they're passing by, and then he feels so glad. Finally, people have realized who he is for all his greatness and all of that. And then so he happily went and sold all the goods that he carried. He made a lot of money, and then he was coming back. And on the way back, people again were coming back from the festival, from the city back to the village. And this time, people are passing by him. Nobody is recognizing him. People are honking and even hurling abuses at him for blocking their path. The same people who have respected him before have now started to abuse him and treated him ordinarily. And he became very upset. And after a while, he started to stop people and, hey, what happened? Why are you dishonoring me? Why are you treating me ordinarily? What happened? What did I suddenly do? What happened to me? Are you all right? And these people thought he was crazy. Who are you? Suddenly you are disturbing us. Oh, I'm the person, you know, who you respected, who you fell on the floor and offered me respects. And then finally they realized, oh, you are that person who was carrying the deities on your head. So basically, this man, he was a carving the deities. He was making, all kinds of, mud deities, varieties of metal deities. So that was his business. He would carry these goods and sell in the market and come back. And people were looking at these deities on his head and they were paying respects. And he is thinking the respects are due him. So then he realizes his mistake. So our being respected, our abilities, our tejas is nothing but because of Krishna within. Every one of us have a spark by which we are great. One may be good in remembering incidents, history, and recollecting even what happened years ago. One may be good in something else, learning languages or grasping things, immediately being able to plan and make money. There are many things one is good at, and one may be recognized for it. But one has to recognize that it is Krishna who is giving that. The moment we start to take that respect for ourselves, we are in for a great disaster. We have to recognize Krishna who is providing me that strength. Tejas, Tejas Vinamaham. And in the next verse, Krishna says, 11th verse, Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam. Balam balavatam chaham means the strength of the strong. Prabhupada says the strong man's strength should be applied to protect the weak, not for personal aggression. Like if there is a, Bhagavatam says, usually a king or a zamindar or a powerful personality in the village, they are honored with a helmet or a turban. In those days, turban. So the village heads or zamindars will have a turban, isn't it? So that is a honor for their position, balam. But if they think, oh, now I have become this such and such, now I have the power, I can do whatever, I can increase my personal self aggrandizement, then they will go down more swiftly. Bharaha param patta kirita justam apyuttamangam nanamen mukundam Shavau karau no kurute saparyam harer lasat kanchana kankanava. So beautifully Bhagavatam describes. So you have this Bharaha param patta kirita justam. Patta kirita, you have a silk turban, a heavy turban. It becomes very heavy if you don't engage your head in offering respects to Mukunda and serving Mukunda. Like Prabhupada explains, if a person is drowning, like everybody is drowning in this world, but a drowning man with a heavy weight on his head is sure to go down more swiftly than those who have no heavy weight. So that means this position or power one has, that balam one has, if it is not used for serving Krishna and protecting the weak as representative of Krishna, then you will go down into this material ocean more swiftly than others because of that heavy weight. A foolish, puffed up person defies the signs of God and says that God has no meaning for him. But when he is in the grip of God's law, and when he gets attacked with some deadly disease, he'll sink into this material ocean. The material advancement, his balam cannot help him, but it actually becomes a heavy load by which he becomes so puffed up that nobody can save him. Tvadupekshitanam, one who is neglected by the Lord, nobody can save him. So one must take heed of this great warning. So Prabhupada mentions the example of Maharaj Prataparudra, the greatly powerful king of Orissa. He was very busy with heavy state responsibilities. In fact, he, because of his power, he was so powerful that the the Mohammedan kingdom could not enter into Orissa because of his presence. As long as he was present, he was so powerful. But he would act like a menial servant of Lord Jagannath He would act like menial servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would sweep the temple of Lord Jagannath at Puri once a year during the festival of the Lord. So the idea is that however important a man one may be, he must accept the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. This will help that man even in his material prosperity. Because of that, actually, Prataprudra became so powerful king. The great Pathan in his time could not enter into Orissa because of the blessings of Jagannath. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accepted Prataparudra on this very grounds of subordination to the Lord. So Krishna must be served because Krishna is not just served by the ordinary people of this material world, ordinary kings. Krishna's value, Lord Balaram actually says this. When the Kauravas, they dishonor, the episode happens when Samba and Lakshmana, Samba is one of the sons of Krishna. He goes to get Lakshmana, the daughter of Duryodhana, as his wife. In those days they have to kidnap sometimes. And then there is a fight, and Kauravas, they wrongfully arrest by using wrong tactics. And then Baladev goes for a peace negotiation, and he calls them, he sends Uddhava and he calls them, and they would actually come and insult. Oh, you Yadus, you are thinking you have now become great people. We are the ones who have given you all what you deserved. And like that, they start to insult, including Krishna. And then Balaram becomes so angry. And then he would drag the whole Hastinapura into this Yamuna. He would start to drag with his the the, the Maushala Ayudha he has. And then they come to their senses. Who is Balaram? They start to offer him prayers and all that. So in that context, Balaram says, so you even are considering Krishna as an ordinary man. What is the position of Krishna? Do you know? Yasyang Pankaj Rajokhila Lokapalair Maulyuttamair Dhrutam Upasita Tirthatirtham Brahma Bhavohamapi Yasya Kalah Kalaya Srischodvahema Chiramasya Nrupasanam Kwa. Krishna's position is Yasya Angri Pankaja Rajo Khila Lokapalaihi. Lokapalaihi, not just ordinary palai of this material, this small planet Earth, what to speak of the smallest cities and countries. But the Lokapalai means the masters of various planetary systems. They accept the dust of Krishna's lotus feet on their crowned heads. Yasyangri Pankaja Rajo Khila Lokapalai. And that dust makes the holy places sacred. And great personalities like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi Devi, and I myself, Balram is speaking, who are all portions of his plenary portions, we eternally carry the dust on our heads. So this is the position of Krishna. So one should remember our balam is coming from Krishna. It should be used to protect Krishna in whatever position we are in. It could be, we need not be a king, but we can be head of the family, or a mother is the head of the children, or whatever capacity you have, you should use that power for Krishna consciousness. Protect the weak and spread Krishna consciousness in your capacity. And dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. This kama means particularly the sex life. Here it is said. Sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. Dharma aviruddho. Dharma aviruddho means which is in line with dharma. That is Krishna. That means sex life is not disallowed, but it is to be done according to religious principles, not for sense gratification. To beget Krishna conscious children, to beget responsibly. That is why in those days there was Garbhadhana Samskara. Even the act of sex was a ritual, a dharma activity meant for begetting proper cultured children with good consciousness. Otherwise, Arjuna said, isn't it, in the first chapter, I'll be responsible for causing Varna Sankara population. Because by killing these men, the women are left unprotected and they'll be taken advantage of. And they'll be it'll cause Varna Sankara population without proper samskara. That means the population who will come will not be properly refined and it will cause a lot of troubles in the society. So it is very important that dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. Our kama should be used for propagating good Krishna conscious children. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said, I'm prepared to beget hundreds of children if I can make them Krishna conscious. That means there is no restriction to be a family man, provided you use everything, including sex life, for Krishna consciousness. We'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.